Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. And again, you've heard me say 2 or 3 times, September's my favorite month. Even with these dreary days, we're going to have some sunshine and it's a great time for harvesting the last stuff in the garden. And if you don't have your own garden, it's these kinds of things are pretty plentiful in the stores and at our farmers market. So you have availability right here for much of the locally grown food as well as that's brought in. And you are seeing lots of pumpkins out there surrounding the stores in various places. And of course we have McCurdy's Pumpkins. They're doing special things every weekend. And if you want to know something about pumpkins, well, just ask John McCurdy. He knows everything about pumpkins. Well, pumpkins and squash, not only are they very plentiful, that means they're a little less costly, and it means you have lots of good stuff to eat. And squash, I guess fall squash, the winter squashes are really my favorite over the summer squashes. They seem to have a little more body. They do have more nutrition in them because they're that golden deep yellow color, and that means that there's more vitamin A in them. Now, probably most of us, if we are shopping for them, are going to look at the acorn squash, and that's mostly what's in the stores, but also look for those buttercup squashes. They are very similar, can be used in the very same way. There's other winter squashes include butternut, Hubbard, ambercup, and spaghetti squash. So, and spaghetti squash is called spaghetti squash because of what it does. When you cook it and get it just to the right tender stage and you scoop it out, it turns into spaghetti. And you can use it in the same way as spaghetti. Great thing to do with kids if you haven't done that is to find a spaghetti squash, cook it up, and see it turn into spaghetti when it's all done. Little tip on opening up those squashes. Sometimes they're a little hard to cut. You have to have a really sharp knife. Well, I always put mine in the microwave oven. Do stick it with a fork in a couple places just to break the skin, but put it in the microwave oven for maybe 3 minutes. Kind of depends on the size, and that will soften it up enough for you to cut it easily. And, of course, you can continue to cook it in the microwave oven. One of my favorite, and I think the old standby, is to open up the acorn squash, scoop out the seeds, put a little brown sugar and butter in it, and bake it. Well, the first step to shorten up that baking, I always like to finish it in the oven baking, but you could do it in the microwave oven the whole time. But the first step to shorten up the time is to turn it upside down, cut it, clean it out, turn it upside down in a little bit of water in a container that can go in the microwave oven, and do your first step, get it almost tender, and then finish it up in the oven if you like that finished product. But of course that's really up to you whether that's the way you'd like to do it. And of course the recipes, when you start looking around, it used to be, you just did it a couple ways. Recipes for all kinds of squash and pumpkin dishes are very much available. As you scoop them out and squish it up, you can mix it up with lots of other things. Soup, squash and apple soup, the best thing ever. Takes a little extra work, to get everything put together, but make a big batch and you can keep it, and it is something that's really yummy. Now, what about pumpkin pie? I may have said some time ago that the best pumpkin pie in my memory, sometimes my memory is kind of short, but the best pie in my memory is one that Kathy Booth made from scratch, starting with the pumpkin, not with the can of pumpkin mix already to go. That's easy. That's comfortable, and if that's the way you want to do pumpkin pie, it's not bad. It still tastes good. But if you want a really better one, you might want to try one from scratch. And again, it takes a little more work. But if you have kids or grandkids, get them involved, and they'll find that is a great adventure. And of course, the pumpkin pie made from scratch has most of the same ingredients as as the one that you get out of the can. In other words, you'll need some flavoring, you'll need a little bit of sugar, some vanilla, some eggs, and about 3 cups actually of the cooked pumpkin. And the pumpkin used for pies, if you choose, there are some that are much better. They are a little smaller, sweeter, less grainy textured than the usual jack-o'-lantern types, and the grocery stores will have them. And again, I think you can get those locally. They're often called sugar pumpkins or even cheese pumpkins. Why cheese? We're not quite sure, but that's one of the things they're also called. Also, if you can't find a pie pumpkin, remember we talked about squash? Yep, butternut squash tastes almost the same. And commercial canned pumpkin is from a variety of butternut, not true pumpkins. What a surprise. If you insist on using a regular jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin, you may need to add about 25% more sugar and run the cooked pumpkin through a blender or food processor to help smooth it out. When you're picking out that pumpkin, look for one that's firm and doesn't have bruises or soft spots, and it's a good orange color. One 6-inch pie pumpkin usually makes one 10-inch deep pie. So you'll have a little extra if you want to make a 9-inch pie. You're going to have a little extra there that you could. Somebody's tip was put it in the muffin tins. Use little papers, put it in muffin tins, and just bake it, and you'll have baked pumpkin. Top it with a little ice cream. Hey, you don't need that crust on there necessarily to make it taste good. And of course, when you are getting ready to make this pie, you will have to cut the pumpkin in half, clean it out just like we talked about the squash. And you want to get out that stringy, dangly stuff that coats the inside surface. And a heavy ice cream scoop will do this job pretty easily for you. And of course, you can save the seeds. The seeds can be used to plant pumpkins next year, or roasted to eat right away. Place them in a bowl of water, rub them between your hands, then pick out the orange pieces, throw that away, and drain off the water. Spread them out on a clean paper towel to dry, and save them for roasting. A few minutes in the oven will roast them up, and they'll make a tasty little snack. Okay, you've got that pumpkin cleaned out, and there are several ways to cook the pumpkin. Just decide which one you'd like to use. Most people have microwaves and a stove, so of course you can use one of those 2 methods. If you're using the microwave, put them of course in a microwavable bowl. Remove the stem. It's a good idea to get that out of there. It'll just make it easier to fit fewer pieces, and it will be easier to scoop out the cooked pumpkin afterwards. Put a little water in the bowl and cover it, so you're going to be steaming actually this pumpkin. And if you want to do it on a stove type, it's going to take about the same amount of time, 20-30 minutes, and it's best again if it is put in a steamer basket, so it's not actually in the water as it cooks. Cook it till it's soft, then you're ready to scoop it out, and you're ready to go the next steps to make your homemade pumpkin pie and wait for the raves as people try it out. So, no matter which way you want to go, if you want to go the fast way with, like I say, squash, just put it in the microwave, or if you want to take a little longer time and involve your kids or grandkids, they will think it's a great adventure, something that they will talk about as they are adults. Remember when? Yeah, cooking in the kitchen with kids is a great way to build some relationships, build some good times. You don't have to go to Disneyland to have a great time with kids. They'll remember the things that they did with you together on more 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, depending on the number of kids. So, just have a great time with the fall harvest. Until next time, here's the thought. Change your thoughts, and you change your world.